Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to class. I'm happy to be here, and I also believe everybody is happy to be here as well. Kudos to the provider of these chairs. Now, today's class is very important because we'll be talking about how we can use that feature in Excel for the real data analysis and dashboard creation tasks. You know, our course is what? Business intelligence and dashboard creation. And we said in the module we'll be introducing us to different business intelligence tools. And during the introductory class, we said Excel is one of the business intelligence tools that we can use for dashboard creation. And we also said that without effectively carrying out the data analysis, the dashboard will be useless. If you are creating or extracting a dashboard from a data set that is dirty or from a data set that is faulty, at the end of the day, you will come up with a wrong dashboard. So today we'll be talking about how we can use that Microsoft Excel feature for data analysis and dashboard creation. And that Microsoft Excel feature we'll be using is called the pivot table. If you want to carry out data analysis and dashboard creation in Excel, the tool we always use is the pivot table. The pivot table. So how to use that is what we'll be discussing in this class. Now, roadmap, I want to start with roadmap to becoming a data analyst or business intelligence expert. You know, if you have a dream of becoming a data analyst, or you have a dream of becoming a business intelligence and dashboard creation expert, what is the roadmap to becoming a data analyst or business intelligence and dashboard creation expert? Number one, you need to master how to use Excel, because Excel is like the default data analysis tool used by all organizations. There is no organization that doesn't use Excel, even if they have a database for data collection. At the end of the day, anytime they want to export their data, they will always export the data into an Excel format. So as an aspiring data analyst or business intelligence expert, you need to be a master of how to use Excel. That's the reason why in this training, we started with what? Excel. After that, you still need to have a good understanding of how to use structured query language. Our data could be in a database file. We may want to extract data from the database. We may want to update the content of a database. We may want to delete the content of a database. So there is no way we will need the knowledge of SQL. So that's the reason why when we finish the Excel module next week, the next module we will start is what? SQL. And that module will also run for a whole month. So after that, we will now start another business intelligence tool, which is what? Power BI. That will also run for a month. Then we'll move to how to use Tableau. That will also run for a month. Now, after you've gained the mastery of all these business intelligence tools, the next thing you need to do as an aspiring business intelligence expert is to start to build your own projects. You start to build your own profile. You start to build your own image in that field by applying the skills you've gained in different projects. So that's the reason why at the end of this training, the last module will be dedicated for capstone projects. So now, what have we learned so far in Excel? We've done introduction to Excel environments. Now, we've also been introduced to data cleaning and formatting in Excel. We've also been introduced to how to use conditional formatting tools. Now, I did a separate video on how to use conditional formatting tool. The lecture was not done online. And also how to use formulas and functions in Excel. Using formulas and functions in Excel is very, very important. It's very, very important because along the way, in our data analysis task, we always have a reason to do some calculations. It could be simple mathematical calculation. It could be some statistical calculation. It could be some scientific calculation or some financial calculation. So it will always involve what? Performing some using some formulas on our data set. So that's the reason why we also talked about formulas and functions in Excel. I've also done a separate video on functions and formulas in Excel. So today we'll now move to how to carry out data analysis using pivot table. We'll also see how we can use pivot table and how we can create dashboard using pivot charts and slicer, so that when we come around next week, we'll just focus on how we can use AI tools for data analysis and dashboard creation. How we can use AI tools for data analysis and dashboard creation. I intentionally skipped the formulas and functions in the Excel so that we can focus on dashboard creation, and next week we'll focus on how we can use AI tools for data analysis and dashboard creation. So today, our learning outcomes are the following. At the end of the lecture, participants should be able to understand what a pivot table is, understand the various components of a pivot table. We should be able to demonstrate how a pivot table could be used for data analysis, and how it can also be used for dashboard creation. So at the end of the day, this is the kind of dashboard we want to use Excel to create. This is the kind of dashboard we want to use Excel to create. The idea is to start with simple data sets where we understand how to use pivot table to create a dashboard from simple data sets. Then you begin to improve on your skill and you try your abilities on large data sets. Now, at the end of the day, our dashboard should be like this. At the end of the day, our dashboard should be like this. Now, our dashboard contains 4 charts. Then we've added a slicer. Now, the slicer will be used to filter the various characteristics on this dashboard. So that at the end of the day, if the manufacturers or if anybody is interested in knowing the mileage by color or the mileage by price or other properties of the Chevrolet car, when they click it, it will show. When they click that of Ford, it will show. When they click that of Honda, it will display on the charts. When they click that of Nissan, it will display on all the charts. And when they click that of Toyota, it will also display on all the charts. So we use pivot table, pivot charts, and slicer to come up with this dashboard. So at the end of the lecture today, we should be able to do this as well. So now data analysis in Excel using pivot table. What is a pivot table? Pivot table is a functionality in Excel that helps you to organize and analyze data. Pivot table is a feature in Excel that allows you to organize and analyze your data. Pivot table helps you to structure and organize your data so that you can gain deep understanding of the large data sets. Now, to use a pivot table, your data set must be in tabular format. Anytime you want to use a pivot table for analysis, a data set must be in a tabular format. Now, what are the components of a pivot table? Pivot table has 6 major components. It has 6 major components. It makes use of the colons in our data. Pivot table makes use of the colons in our data. It also makes use of the rows in our data. It makes use of what? Filters. It also makes use of values. It also makes use of what? The fields in our data sets. And it also has a layout, a field layout window. Now, I already know that we know what a colon is. A colon is what? A vertical tabular data. The data we have in vertical form is what? The column. And you observe that every column we always have a column header that describes the data in a particular column. Every column we always have a header, and the header describes what? The data in a particular column. So the header defines the data in a particular column. We also have the rows, and those are what? The data in horizontal form. Those are the words, the rows. Rows are what? The data in horizontal form. So now, data in a row are always related. Data in a row are always related. At times, they are called record because the data in a row fall across different columns. So they are called record. So we also have filters. Now, filters are used to select the group of data you want to see per time. When you use filter, you can select what? The group of data you want to use per time. We've practiced how to use filter. If you have a large data set, you can use filter to select the group of data you want to see per time. Let me illustrate that. Now, this is the data set we'll be using. And we said the data set must be in a tabular format. And we said our pivot table makes use of what? Makes use of colon, vertical data. It makes use of what? Rows, horizontal data, and it makes use of what? Filter. Now you can see all the data in colon has filters. So with filter, you can select the actual data you want to see. Now let me on selector and click Chevrolet. If I click OK, it will only give me the data I want to see. That's what we use filter for. If I add dot to it, it will give me what? The subset of data that I want to see. So now I've selected all. That means I want to see all the data. So our pivot table also makes use of filters. Now, pivot table also has a section for values. Now, values define how you present your data to your end users. How you present your data to your end users. Now, in presenting our data, we can decide to summarize a section of our data or all our data, and we can also decide to show our values. Now, what's the difference between summarizing and showing our value? Now, take a look at this field. If I have a large set of data, I can summarize my large set of data by presenting the sum of all the data. I can also summarize my data by presenting what? The count of all the data. I believe you understand the difference between sum and count. Now, in that data set, we have different mileage. I can generate the sum of all the mileage. And I can also decide to count the number of models of my car or the number of manufacturers in my data set. I can also decide that in my large data set, I'm interested in computing the average. I'm interested in presenting the average value. If the sum of the value is large, I can decide to work with the average value. I may also be interested in presenting the maximum value. I can also be interested in presenting the minimum value or the products generated from the data. So now I can use what? I can use summarize value to present my values. And I can still use what? The show option to present my value. Now I can decide that I want to present my value by calculating a percentage of the grand total, or a percentage of the column total, or a percentage of the row data, or a percentage of the parent row data, or a percentage of the parent column data. So these are the different ways of presenting our values to our end user. We can decide to summarize, and we can also decide to what? Show our values. Now we also have fields. Our pivot table also has fields. Fields are used to what? To select the group of data you want to see per time. So that perhaps at the end of the day, from the group of data you have selected, you can carve out a chart from it. And also we have the layout. Now our pivot table also has the layout field. It's always called the layout field. It gives us an overview of all the data we have in our pivot table. It gives you an overview of all the data you have in your pivot table. That is an overview of the filters you've used, an overview of the column you are working with, an overview of the rows you are working with, and an overview of the value fields you are working with. Now, this is how our pivot table field is. It will give us an overview of every information in our pivot table. You can see this first window. It's giving us an overview of our column header. That is, in our data set, we have these column headers. We have the make of the car, we have the model of the car, we have the color of the car, we have the mileage of the car, we have the price of the car, we have the cost of the car. Now, the second section of the pivot fields, it's giving us the overview of the filters, the columns, the values in the columns, the values in the rows that we are interested in working with, and also the actual values we are interested in working with. Now, how do we insert a pivot table into our data set? You select any section in your data set, then you go to the insert section. You select any cell in your data set, then you go to the insert menu in our Excel sheet. Then you locate the table group, then you click pivot table. So now let's start the demonstration with our data set. Now, you can see I said, number one, our data set must have been cleaned. Number two, our data set must be in a tabular format. So to insert a pivot table, you click any cell in your data set, then you go to insert. You identify the tables group, then you select pivot table. Then you select pivot table. Now you remember I said we use pivot table for data analysis. And data analysis is all about extracting insights, generating insights from our data sets. Data analysis is all about what? Generating insights from our data sets. Now let's assume that the owner of this data set has given us this data set, and they said, please, as they come and advise us, come and advise our organization based on these data sets. And I believe from the introductory videos we've watched, and from the test we've done as students of business intelligence, you've seen the difference between business intelligence experts and data analysts. Business intelligence experts, they are interested in what? Profiling data-driven insights from data sets. Data analysts may not be interested in that. Perhaps a business is crumbling. Who will organizations run to? Business intelligence experts. They will run to business intelligence experts. And what will business intelligence experts request for? Their data sets. So that from their data sets, a business intelligence expert can discover hidden patterns An organization that will fall or an organization that will liquidate next month, the symptoms would have been there many months ago, but it may not be known to them. That is why we said hidden insights. Hidden insights. The symptoms would have been there, but it may not be opened to them. So that's the reason why real organizations, they do consult business intelligence experts, so that business intelligence experts can tell them how healthy their organization is. You may be making profit, an organization may be making profit today, and yet the organization may not be healthy. An organization may be making profits today, and at the end of the day, the organization may not be healthy. And you know, when the MD CEO is making profits, his own goal and focus will always be on the numbers. But it is business intelligence experts that will work with their data and that will extract hidden insights from the data. I will use that hidden insights to advise the organization that, see, even though we are making profits today, from this data set that has been analyzed, we need to do this, so that we can sustain the level of profits we are making. So that is where business intelligence experts comes in. So data analysis is all about what? Analyzing the data so as to extract hidden patterns and trends. Hidden what? Hidden patterns and trends. When you compare the data set of an organization in 2022, you compare it to 2023, you compare it to 2024, you compare it to 2021, you can see, you can identify some patterns, you can identify some trends. Now, those hidden patterns and trends you've identified will now form the basis of your data-driven advice you will prefer to an organization. Now, let's take a look at this data. If you want to advise an organization based on this data, what are the kind of advice, what are the kind of information you think you can extract from it? Because an answer to that will now determine the charts you want to create. You know, the charts are just visualizations. You don't want to interact with them in words. You want to use charts, graphs, pictures to illustrate the hidden trends and patterns. So data analysis is the first task we need to do. So now let's analyze this data. From this data set, what are the information you think we can extract from these data sets? If you want to advise an organization based on this data set, what are the information you think you can, what are the charts you can generate from these data sets? Okay, because now there will always be a reason why they are keeping all the record. You may be saying, why are they keeping record of colors? Don't you know colors do determine the kind of cars that people purchase? Some people like using white clothes, white cars. Some hate white cars. You know, white cars could easily get dirty. So some prefer black cars. So even if it's dirty, nobody will know. But if you know you have people that wash cars for you, you shouldn't care. Some like red, because there's no way you take a red car into a place and people won't see it. Some also prefer a unique color like gold. Yes, it's unique. Some prefer gold colors. Now, immigration people, they prefer what? Mint green. Like that system that I saw now. You can see that system is unique. I can think that system belongs to an immigration officer because it's what? Mint green. It's not common. And you know, as an individual, you can't just go and buy a car and buy mint green. They can stop you and say, no. This color belongs to immigration. Yes, now. So you can't just, and if you go ahead to buy a mint green car and you have an opportunity to take it to an immigration office, you may not go with that car. So colors also matter. So that is the reason why Because customers are interested in colors. Colors also determine prices of cars. Colors that are common will be cheap. Like now, that color of system is common. And that means green will be very expensive because of the color, because it's unique. In fact, I've never seen a system that has mint green color. I've just seen one today. You can also confess. Have you seen a mint green system? It's unique. Now ask her how she got that system. No, ask her. Perhaps it even belongs to someone in immigration. Perhaps her husband is working in immigration office. So some colors are reserved. So colors also do determine the price. And also, if you want to get a second-hand car, what are the things you consider? The mileage. You consider the mileage. You know, the mileage, you keep record of the distance the car has covered so far. So a car that has covered 200,000 mileage, it shouldn't be expensive now. But a car that has just covered 34,000, you can know that it's close to being new. And a car that has covered 138,000, it's far from being new. So you can use that to cut down the price of the car. That I will check the mileage now. 200,000. We go buy 200,000 car for no fit. Will you collect this? Okay, I will collect. So we can come up with a comparison between the color and the mileage and the price, the mileage and the cost. Oh yeah, what other charts can we come up with? What other charts can we come up with? This is where data analysis starts from. You must be able to figure out information you can bring in from your data sets. Okay, wait a minute. Somebody said accident. Do you have the data to prove that? Or can you say a car that has covered a certain mileage, like a car that has covered 140,000 mileage, could soon get accidents? So now you have an idea of what to do, but you can't use data to prove it. That's why we say we are interested in what? Data-driven insight. Please. We don't have the data to prove that. Now, let me use this. I want to make mention of this. You know, if you are driving and you suddenly see a car on the road that is faulty, and you discover that what happened to the car was that let's say the right tire, it's always the front tire, the right or left, has gone this way. Which car is that? Everybody knows that what is Honda. And because of that, Toyota will always be expensive than Honda. Or have you ever seen a Toyota car with that kind of fault? No. Or have you ever seen a Benz car with that kind of fault? But if you are driving in the middle of the road and you saw a car that the tire is about to run away, you don't need to check. Honda. Now what? Honda. Golf too. No. Very, very rare, but it is peculiar with Honda. So which other insights? Because the quality of insight we can derive from this will determine the quality of advice we can give them. Will determine the what? The quality of data-driven advice. Data-driven advice. The advice must be from their data, not outside their data. So that's the reason why, as business intelligence experts, we are not permitted to give them advice that is outside their data. If you have any opinion that you cannot use data to prove or to back up, you keep it to yourself. Because you don't really have the right to advise them. They could be MD, CEO, blah 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 of the organization. What they've only called you to do is come and analyze this data and give us business insights from it. And it's not as if you'll be saying, this is what you must do. Give them the advice, collect your money, and go. If they now make use of the advice, it is none of your business. It is what? It is none of your business. So now, the quality of insights you can extract from this will determine what the quality of advice. So the goal is not even about coming up with the charts. The goal is not even about coming up with the visualizations. That is the end product. That is why we said the first thing we need to do is what? Data analysis. We need to fine-tune our data analysis task. And that is why I've been advising us that as in data analysis video, also watch it. Because that is the engine of our task. So now, which other insights?
Maybe we can look at maybe like Toyota have different models.
Yes, we can still break it down. We can still break it down based on what models and advice. Yes, because now at the end of the day, in the next market, in the next business year, they want to maximize their profits. They want to maximize their profit. Perhaps this is the data set for your sales in a particular month. They want to maximize their profit. There's another hidden information you've not deduced from this one. Profitability. Yes. Cost and price. And that's the most important insight you can get from here. Profitability. And it is profitability that will determine the kind of cars they will go for in the next business cycle. Profitability. And that is why we have price and cost. Cost is what? The actual cost. Taken to bring the car from the manufacturer to your factory. When you've now factored in the cost and you've spread it on all the cars, you can now settle for the price. So you can see the actual cost for this is 4,500. The price is 4,959. These ones, they are not Nigerians. They are not. The profit, Nigerians. They can double it. They can double it and they will put the blame on dollars. And don't you know the exchange rate? The exchange rate is fluctuating, blah, 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 blah. You can see the profitability. But you know, in developed countries that market rates are controlled. You know, in our own country, we are running an open market system. Open market system, whereby every owner of a business can fix their prices. But in developed country, it's a fixed market system. They are running a fixed market system. You don't just fix the price. You know what? FMCPC, there's an organization that monitors prices. You saw? It starts with F. Federal Monetary. What they just started doing is what they do in developed country. They fix prices. So that's the reason why a tin of milk in January last year, the price could still be the same this year. But somebody that is as in products that dollars doesn't affect, they will skyrocket the price and they will put it on dollar because we are running what? An open market system. So now profitability. So how are we going to generate the profits? So that means we can say we can surprise the cost from the price, then we generate the what? The profits, then you do a profitability analysis. Now, let me jump to the data analysis section before we start. I want to jump to the data analysis section before we start the pivot chart analysis. So I said data analysis is all about drawing insights from data, deep insights, unveiling hidden trends and patterns. Now, as a human being, to be sincere, we have limitations. As a human being, to be sincere, we have limitations. Because what we are using our brain to calculate is just too much. That's the reason why it was difficult for us to come up with different analysis from our data. And that's the reason why computing tools are there to help us to discover those hidden trends and patterns. Now, I can count the number of suggestions you have given me. Are they enough? They are not enough now. If it were to be a competition, that okay, the person that will win the award will depend on what the quality of insights you can give. So, with what you've given, what can we deduce from it? So that's the reason why we need those computing tools. We need those AI tools to help us what? Discover hidden trends and patterns. Now, the trends and insights I will display now, I use AI to generate them. And when I show you, you will see you will appreciate using those AI tools. Now, with a data set containing information on manufacturer, model, mileage, price, and cost, you can derive several valuable insights and perform various types of analysis from them. Number one, you can do what we call manufacturer analysis. That is, you determine the distribution of cars among different manufacturers. We never thought of that. So you identified what? The top manufacturers by the number of cars. So that means we'll count the number of cars being sold per time and the manufacturers. So we can say in this business season, it is cars from Toyota that my customers are buying, not Honda. Manufacturer analysis. So now we can also, based on manufacturer analysis, we can analyze the average price and cost of cars for each manufacturer. Now we can also carry out the what? Model analysis. You determine which car models are mostly commonly listed in the data set. You identify the highest priced and lowest priced models. Highest priced, lowest priced. Lowest priced will be available for the common masses. The highest price will be available for politicians. Because there are some cars you see on the road. With your salary, you know if you buy them. a colleague of mine advertised a land. He said there is a land for sale closer to base 5 billion naira. I said, only the PC can buy that. I know if you buy them. I said, it's not for people like me. And that guy now did analysis of the worth of 1 billion. He said, before I can make 1 billion, it will take 800 and something years. That was what he said, though. You know, 1 billion is 1,000 million. Yeah. What's my annual salary? Calculate yours, I'm calculating mine. So when we now make 1,000 billion, and he's not saying the land is for what? 5 billion. You see? You see? So there are some cars, there are some highest price cars. Not for, except we join politics. That's what you can. But the lowest price cars is for common masses. Yes, I'm part of. Yes, you are right. I should be sincere. So model analysis. And now if you want to do model analysis of cars in Abuja, lowest price car that the masses are using. What is the lowest price car? Toyota Corolla, that's the lowest. Toyota Corolla, that's the lowest priced car. So you can now do what? Model analysis. Because that Toyota Corolla car is a multi-purpose car. Personal, Uber, Taxify, etc. But yet, you know, there are some organizations that if you are using Toyota Corolla, you can't enter. They will think you are an Uber driver. Yeah. Don't say that. You are alive. You are alive. In some organizations, if you are using Toyota Corolla, the way they will question you. So that is why you must always go with your ID card saying, see, I'm a staff. I'm not an Uber driver. I'm a staff. Allow me. So model analysis. We still have what? Mileage analysis. We still have what? Price and cost analysis. We still have what? Manufacturer versus model analysis. We still have what? Correlation analysis. That is, you can explore the correlation. Is there a correlation between mileage, price, and cost? Of which, yes, we've proven that. But you don't know that is what correlation analysis. You can also insert what? Profitability analysis. You can also come up with what? Trends analysis. Then you can start your visualization. Now take a look at the different categories of analysis. Are those possible for me to humanly do? Let's be sincere. But now imagine if I want to have a presentation and then I said, yeah, from the data sets we've given an organization, we've worked effortlessly on it, and we've been able to come up with 8 categories of analysis. You'll be like, 8. Then you now say, okay, today we'll talk about trends analysis of the car. We'll give you the trends analysis of your car, the profitability analysis. We'll give you the mileage analysis. We'll give you the price and cost analysis. We'll give you the manufacturer versus model analysis. We'll give you the correlation analysis. And you still said you will give them what? Which other analysis? You give them the manufacturer analysis. You will give them the model analysis. They will be surprised. They'll be like, from that small set of data sets. So that means we can uncover this large group of analysis from them. And we could be able to do this because of what? The help of AI tools. So next week, we'll dedicate our time for how to use AI tools to support our activities. So now let's jump to the analysis task. So now, when you have known the kind of analysis you want to do, that will now determine the kind of column to compare. That will now determine the kind of column to compare. That will now determine the kind of charts to build from your small data sets. I will say the first step is to what? This first step is to insert your pivot table into your data set. So let's start that. You click anywhere. So you click. It's actually I think it's actually something for projection. Okay, let me see duplicates. So now this is the data set you want to work with. So we're going to insert. Please let's concentrate. Then you click the pivot table. So once you click the pivot table, it will bring this window, and it will ask you to. It would have selected all your data sets. Now, where do you want your pivot table to be? Do you want your pivot table to be created on a new sheet, or you want your pivot table to be created on this existing worksheet? It's always advisable that your pivot table should be on a new sheet. So you click OK. So now you come here to what? Let's rename this as, okay, this is the new sheet. So let's call this a pivot table. Okay, this is the raw. Okay, I did not duplicate the data. This is the raw data. Okay, I always want it to be like this. Raw data, the pivot table. So you can now see the pivot table window. Once I click this pivot table window, the pivot table field layouts would have been highlighted. So you can now see in this first section, we have the words, all the columns in my data set. We want to use the column for analysis. So we have all the column in our data set. Now, this is the filter. This is the column. Any data you want, any data that will be in the column row, you drag them into the column row. Any data that will be in the row, you put them in the row. Then the values. Now, if you select any of these column header, Excel will automatically place them where the Excel thinks it should be. So now you see, model contains text. So it has automatically placed it in the row column. Make of the car, it contains what? Text. It has automatically placed it in the row column. Now color also contains text. It has automatically placed it in the row column. Now take a look at this. The mileage, it contains numbers. It has automatically placed it in what? As a value in the value column because it contains what? Numbers. Now take a look at this. The price, it contains numbers. It has automatically placed them at what? Under the value. Now the values have been placed under the column, and the column that contains text have been placed under the rows. Now click cost also. It's automatically placed them where they're supposed to be. So now the column headers I will select will depend on what the kind of analysis I want to do. So now let's say I want to compare. In addition to this, I can also drag them. You can see, you can also drag and drop on your own. Let's say I want to compare model to the mileage. Then you can see, you can always drag them. So this is the pivot table I want to use for, we can call this mileage versus model analysis. From this, I can generate the mileage versus model analysis from this. Okay. So now, let's see what we can do, or operations we can do on our data, on the data in our pivot table. Now, you can decide to what? You see, summarize value by what? Is this sum or count? You can see, this is the sum of the mileage. So I'm presenting my values by what? Presenting the sum of the mileage. So at the beginning here, I have the models. I can present them by counting the number of cars or the number of models of cars in my data set. So I can decide to what? Summarize value by sum. I can decide to summarize the value by average. I can decide to summarize the value by the maximum value, by the minimum value, or the product. And I can also decide to summarize the value by what? Presenting the percentage of grand total, or the percentage of column total, or the percentage of row total. So it depends on how you want to present your data. And I can still stick to what? Presenting it by sum. Now here, I can decide to what? To sort the contents in my row. Okay, I can say, okay, I'm interested in sorting them alphabetically. So it can sort them alphabetically for me. So these are the various operations. Now, at this point, you can decide to show We still have value filters. If you want to display values that are equal to a particular thing, or values that are greater than, or values that are less than, you can do that here. But we don't really need to do that with this. So this is my first pivot table. Now, I think it's always good for us to first generate all the pivot tables you need. After you've generated all the pivot tables you need, generate all the pivot charts you need. So after you've generated all the pivot charts you need, assemble all the pivot charts together to form a dashboard. Then you can now begin to change your pivot charts. We have different charts, as in we have, for different analysis, certain charts are the best for presenting them. There was a news that was trending on Twitter, let's say 2 months ago. It was perhaps the military, they put out a statistics online and they now use the wrong charts. And people were now like, you want to show trend, you are using bar charts instead of using line charts. And how will you now use bar charts for? They were now saying, who is their data analyst? So for different analysis tasks, there are some charts that fits into it. So now let's start by, now it's always advisable that all our pivot tables should be in the same Excel sheets so that it won't be scattered. If I go back to my raw data and I want to generate another pivot table, it will open a different, we only have two options: new worksheet, existing worksheet. So it's always good for us to have them in the same. So for me to do that, I can just copy this, Control C, highlight another cell, paste. Now, anytime you select your pivot table, the pivot table fields will come up. So now you can say, for this, I'm interested in what? The model. Comparing the model, price, and cost. I want to carry out analysis of the model against price and cost. And I can still decide to do it separately. But the reason why it's good to do it this way is for profitability analysis. When you see the cost and you see the price and you see the number of cars you've sold based on model, you can make informed decision from it. So we can do this model against price and cost. Okay. Let me still go to another cell, Control V, highlight anywhere in the cell. Now I want to place the charts by the side. So that is why I want to place the zoom. Okay. Thank you for that. Is it okay? Thank you. Okay. Okay, this is the third one. Now, let's say I want to do mileage against price and cost. Okay, hold on. Let the mileage be here. You can see we can always drag and drop. So now I want to use this for what? Mileage against price and cost. Okay. Let me generate one more chart. Paste. So now I want to use this for, okay, mileage against color. the mileage against, okay, mileage is a value. You can see if I want to remove any column that I've dropped, I can just come here and lines. I'll see remove field, move to values. You can see now color can be here. Okay, it's one. Now let's see. Yeah, let's test both. At times, if you want to do it automatically, it will not place them where you want them to be. But if it still places it where you want them to be, you can still leave it. So let's try that option. I want to do mileage and column. Now, column. I've selected column. I've selected mileage. And I think this is what I want. Now, the first value you select also matters a lot. Now let's test that. Let's assume that I selected mileage. Then I selected column. Okay, it has even also changed it. So I think it can still be like this, the color against mileage. So I've selected 4 pivots. I've generated 4 pivot tables that I want to use for my analysis. So the next task will now be to generate a pivot chart from those pivot table. So now I've finished the data analysis parts. I've used data analysis to identify the columns I want to group together and analyze. So the next is now to use pivot charts for the visualization. So now I will come here, then I will come to analyze. You can see I will come to analyze, then I will identify this tools group. Then I will select pivot charts. You can see I've selected pivot charts. So it will now give me suggestions of charts, possible charts from my pivot table. So now the next task will now be, let's first generate all the charts for the pivot table. Later, we can now begin to work on all the charts so as to save time. So let me just choose any chart. Okay. Now, let me close this so that I've selected this chart. Don't worry, I can still reduce the size. Anytime we want to reduce, it's always good for us to reduce from this side. It's always good to reduce from the edge so that it will be uniform. Okay. So this for the first pivot table. So I'll also come here. You go to, you click on any cell in the pivot table, then you click analyze. Then you come to pivot charts. Look at the suggestions that's given me. Let me click this. I'll work on the charts later, but I just want to generate the charts first. Okay, I'll move to my next analyze pivot charts. You can see this. I can click OK. Then here, analyze pivot charts. This, I can click OK. So now I've generated all my charts. I first started by generating all my pivot table. Then I've generated all my charts. So now let me open another sheet and call it my dashboard sheet. So I want to use this to generate my dashboard. So I want to separate the pivot charts from the pivot table. Because at the end of the day, it is the dashboard that will present, that will use for the presentation. Nobody needs the pivot table. Nobody needs the raw data. So let me go to pivot table and extract, just copy. You can copy, you can cut. Okay. So I've pasted the first pivot chart. This is the second pivot chart. I've pasted the second pivot chart. This is the third. Control C. Now you can see anytime I want to paste the pivot chart, I always click on the cell where I want the pivot chart to begin from. You can see. So let me copy the last pivot chart. Control C, dashboard. You can see I've pasted. So these are all my charts. So now I can now begin to work on the charts. If I want to resize, if I want to add more features to the charts, if I want to rename, add names to the charts, I can now begin to do that. Okay, so this chart looks small. I don't know if I should leave it like this. Rather, let me increase this. Okay. I can count the number of cells that each chart covers so that the chart will be, if I want. So you can now see, you can see that the edge of these two charts, the first two charts, did not align. So I can press the first chart, press Control, press the second chart. Then I will come to Format, and I will now come to Align, and I will now say Align Bottom. You can see it as align it by bottom, but yet, yeah, so I can decide to manually do this. Yeah, so now let's see what are the features we can add to our charts. We can come here. It will show us the various elements I can add to the charts. Okay, I don't know what this is. Even if you don't know what it is, uncheck. Oh, axis, and spot the difference. So axes are this horizontal and vertical. They are important, so you can retain them. Axis titles. Axis titles. Okay, this is the axis title. Okay, it is good for me to put the title. Okay, this is the what? Car models. Now this is the what? The mileage. Okay, so I've done that. Okay, data labels. I don't know data labels. It looks rough. There are some instances whereby when you add the data label, it won't be cumbersome. But this looks cumbersome. Data table. Data table is also useful because it will let you know it will fetch the table from your data set for you. It's good at times for analysis, but in this instance, it looks cumbersome. So I won't add it. Error bars, grid line. Do you prefer grid line? You can see that grid line is good in this instance because it will help me know the length of the bars. Okay, legend. Do we need legend? This is the legend that tells me what this is. That is the total mileage. Is it really needed? If I feel it's needed, I can put it. If I feel it's not needed, I can put it. I can remove it. So you can specify where do you want the legend to be. At the right, do you want it? It looks odd at the top because it will be competing with the chart title. At the left, it looks odd. At the bottom, it looks odd. As in, right is the best. So what else can I? So now, still click the charts. Trend line. Should I put trend line? No. Let me remove it. Okay, now let me come here. Style and color. Do you want to add? Do you prefer this? There are different color. We must be careful. Our chart should be plain and simple. It should be able to accommodate everybody's eye defects. I believe everybody likes white and black. Information in white and black, we are used to it. But when you now begin to introduce different colors, it makes it cumbersome. So we should we should be very, very careful with colors. You can see this looks odd. To the presenters, it may look odd to them. At the end of the day, it's not about the kind of color you like. It depends on the color combination that is suitable and will be pleasant to them. And so you must be so white and black is always the best. You understand? You can see white and black is always the best. So let's just settle for the first one. Let's just settle for this. I don't want these data labels. So now I think the title, it should change. What's the title? Mileage analysis. Analysis per model. Okay. Title is important. Chart title is important. Now, the next thing I need to do, now let me come to the design. Let's assume that I want to change the chart type. I can now test the data against different charts. Okay, let me see. Line charts. Is line charts okay? It depends on what you feel is okay. Is line charts okay for this? Let's use it and see. I thought this family, this civic, this CRB, this. Is line charts okay? It's like bar chart is preferable. Bar chart looks mature. It looks mature. It looks mature because there is not really any connection. There shouldn't be any connection between accord and, because we are not studying, we are not presenting trends. So bar chart is, so let me go back to design, change chart type. Let me go to what? Column. Then click OK. So now, let me come in. Now, I'll start from the design. Chart type, line. For this, I think line chart is better for this. Because we are doing profitability analysis. Price against cost. Look at the price. Look at the actual cost. Okay. We always want the price for all the products to be higher than the cost. And I think this is better. So I can use line charts for this. So now, let me add the chart title. If I want to add the chart title, I'll come here. Chart, okay. This is axis title. Okay. Chart title. This is what? Model. Okay, now I can call this profitability analysis per car model. You can see, you can give it any name. Profitability analysis. Okay, thank you. Per car model. Please help me monitor the online so that we can get feedback from them. Okay, now take a look at this so I can. I've extended this too much. Yeah? Okay. Okay. They said it's one already. Okay. So now, let me quickly jump to. Now, this chart should be design. I know this should be. Line is good for this. So now, the next thing I want to add is now the slicer. Slicer is used to hide the filter, the value that I can select, and all these characteristics will be displayed. So now, if I want to add the slicer, please, if I want to add the slicer to filter, I will click on any chart. I'll click on any chart, then I'll go to insert. What it means, I'll click on any chart, I'll go to analyze, then I will select insert slicer. Then the best slicer to use is the make. So that when you select a manufacturer, it will give you the various features against all, but you can always change that. Okay. Now, these are the manufacturers of the car. You can decide to adjust it this way. So you can see, so if I click Chevrolet, it will show me the effect on the first chart. If I click Dodge, it will show me the effect on the second. If I click Ford, it will show me the effect. If I click Honda, it will show me the effect. If I click the Nissan, it will give me the mileage analysis per model for Nissan cars. And you can see Nissan, we have Nissan Altima, Nissan Maxima, Toyota, that's our brand. You can see we have Toyota Camry, Toyota Corolla. There is no Toyota SUV in this one. This is for the masses. Okay, now you can now see that this slicer is only controlling the first chart. So if I want the slicer to control all the charts, I will now click on the slicer, then I will right click on it, then I will select report connections. Report connections. So when I select report connections, and I will now select, these are the different charts. This chart, this chart, this chart. That is, connect my slicer to all those charts. Then I'll click OK. So you can now see Chevrolet. You can see the effect on all the charts. Dodge, you can see the effect on all the charts. Ford, you can see the effect on all the charts. Honda, you can see the effect on all the charts. You can see it. Okay. So now, let me now add a title. Let me add a title. I like the cell. You click what? Merge and center. Then you provide a title. Car sales dashboard. At the end of the day, you'll be expected to come up with your own dashboard. So you can increase the fonts. This is okay. Bold. Now you can decide to add color. Yeah. Now you can also decide to remove grid cells. You come to view, you select remove grid lines. So we can now add, last thing will now be to add color, to add background color. Then this is okay. So you can now see that I need to change the text color for this. I can come here, text color white. Then you can see this is a good dashboard extracted from my data set. Now this is a good dashboard that I've extracted from my data set. Thank you. Now, by viewing this, you would have seen some defects in the sizes of the charts. You can see this looks smaller, this looks smaller. So we can adjust all those things. If because time is no more on our side, as it's already 1 o'clock, so I have to launch it. So you can, when you do yours, come up with a perfect chart. This is just for illustration. So you can make sure that the charts, I need to reduce this. Count the number of steps each chart will occupy. Let them be even. Count the number of columns, count the number of rows each chart will occupy, and let them be evenly distributed so that one chart will not be bigger than another chart. So this is the end goal of this module. How we can use Excel for data analysis and dashboard creation. So this is where we'll stop for today. So I've uploaded the data sets in the lecture folder I shared with everybody. I've also posted it on the Telegram group. So please work on this. Play with this. I'll also do a recap video on how to do this. So any question from me? Any question? People like attendance. I haven't seen attendance is always. I'm lost though. Any question? Some of, how do you want to present? Let's go back to the raw data. You see, these are the prices for each car model, and these are the costs for each car model. So now, when we want to present information about Chevrolet, the price, sum of price means the sum of all Chevrolet cars. Sum of cost means the sum of all costs for the Chevrolet cars. So Dodge here, it will compute the sum, it will add this, it will compute this. That's the sum of all prices for the Dodge car, the sum of all costs for it. So if you now want to use count to present your data, so here you just have 3. That is, you have 3 models of Dodge, blah, blah, blah. But you can see when we are presenting price and cost, count is not the best thing to use. It's either sum or average cost or average price. That's the best way to present it. Is that a standard? There is a, when you are dealing with this, you can present the sum of the price. You can present the sum of the cost, but it's not, you don't have much information to present when you are using counts. We are not interested in the number. We are interested in what? The sum. We are trying to come up with the profitability analysis. So we are interested in the money. So it depends on the kind of analysis you are doing. So you be the one to determine the best way to present your results. Is it by presenting the sum? Is it by presenting the counts? So if you are interested in the numbers of the counts, you should use counts. If you are trying to do a comparison between model and color, counts will be the best for color, not sum. Okay. The one of sum of price and sum of cost. Okay. If you click on the slicer on dots, mine is showing just 2 dots. You know it's from your end. We'll fix that. We'll fix it. But it's from your end. We'll fix it. I think we are. No, we can stop. No, for that. Okay, thank you everybody for coming. So next class, we'll talk about how we can use AI tools for data analysis. Thank you.